Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Ignite Your Soul Connection. We are so excited that this is actually our 10-year anniversary. And we are just amazed, first of all, that we have continued to do this for so long, and we did it on a variety of platforms. So tonight we're actually coming to you on Zoom as well as YouTube and Facebook. So wherever you are joining from, and we are recording this, so if you're not listening to us live, you're not going to miss very much. You can always look at it later. But tonight we're actually delving into a conversation that is really awakening to our soul, right? But before we get to that, let me tell you a little bit about Master Force and myself so that you can see what you're dealing with here. So my name is Rita Musham Stewart. Most of the people in my circle call me Musham Sut. That name was given to me 30 years ago by Sheket Mad Chaz, and the name means she who follows God in divine essence. And according to Kemetic tradition, the more that you say Mushim Sut, the more I become that. So the idea is that I am still becoming until I leave this life form. So don't ever expect perfection from me. Okay, now that that's been said out loud, I can tell you that also 30 years ago, I started teaching a group of young men, and we called that circle Master Force. And after I taught them for about 3 years, they came to me maybe 15 years later and asked me to start an academy because they wanted to be able to teach their children what they had learned. And so we did. We started the Master Force Academy. And so 10 years ago, we actually started putting our courses online. And now, what you're going to meet this week are a few of the coaches that have completed a 16-week life coach certification course that Spirit downloaded to me 30 years ago on what difference it makes for our community to have the type of work that needs to be done in order for us to really combat what's happening around us. You can tell right now it's a lot of mental health issues going on. So a lot of our coaches can work inside of that realm, can work inside of helping people get rid of their their trauma, all of that. We go through that and cover a great deal of that in the course. And if you meet some of the coaches and they can't seem to work at you, certainly hit me up because I've been at this for well over 30 years, okay? So that's my spiel. So now I want to introduce you to my co-host who I'm so excited. I'm excited on so many levels. But anyway, Dr. Sandra is joining us tonight. Dr. Sandra, can you come in and tell us about yourself? Hey.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. I'm actually on the East Coast, so I'm an hour ahead of everybody.
Oh,
So I'm well into the evening.
yes.
But as Moot said, my name is Dr. Sonji Jones Manson. I am a certified MFC coach. I completed my training in 2015. I'm definitely excited and honored to be co-hosting alongside of the wonderful Musim Shoot. But I'm here today in the capacity of simply facilitator and really to learn. I'm so excited about diving into the power of yin and learning from all the wonderful presenters this week. So a little bit about my background besides my Master Force training is that currently I'm working in the capacity of a fellow But on my personal side, I'm also a consultant. I do strategic planning and development consultant for individuals, for their organizations or small nonprofit businesses as well. That includes evaluation and logic modeling. That's the type of work that I enjoy doing. Um, I'm also working on launching some coaching, and I also provide tarot readings as well. So that's some of the things that I do and how I engage. My primary goal is to integrate my full self into everything that I do. So that's my journey.
That's wonderful. And thank you for that. And the other thing that I wanted to speak to before we introduce our speakers is the cosmic weather that's going on, right? We're actually in the midst of a full moon in Gemini. Now, that might not mean anything to you, but I have my moon is in Gemini. So I'm downloading all of that good energy. Uh, I'm learning so much about myself. Even as we do this, I am learning myself. And then this is also the winter solstice. Now, we actually do our sessions during the winter and summer solstice because this is the time to rest, to actually pull into yourself, to actually go into yourself, to actually plant seeds. This is when the planet is soft and receptive and is able to receive your dreams and your visions. So for you to be running around talking about Christmas presents and shopping, that's really not good use of your energy. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that like a mother, right? I can say that like a mother because I'm now over 60, right? I can say it like a mother. You need to sit yourself down and look inside and see, what is it that my soul is telling me? What is it that God or the universe is trying to get through to me? This is the time of year to take that in. The true new year is when? In the springtime. Okay. All right, Dr. Sonja. So now we want to move into the next portion. Do you
Ready
want
to
to
overview?
or overview or introduction of the topic, however you want to do it, or introduction of the speakers, however you want to do it.
So before I go into introducing our wonderful speakers tonight, I am going to, excuse me, give you an overview of what's to come in these next 6 days. I just want to touch on the topics so we can all get excited and geared up and make our plans and clear our schedule to make sure we come back each and every night at 7 p.m. Central Time. So today we're going to go into, our topic is life expressed. So we're going to dive into how yin is or isn't expressed in our lived experiences. And so in tonight's conversation, we want to explore differences between masculine and feminine energy, differences between feeling and thinking, differences between flowing and controlling, creating from within versus creating from manipulating the world around you. So we're going to touch in one way or another in all these topics tonight. Then tomorrow, when you come back on Monday, we're going to dive into how to go with the flow. And then on Tuesday, we're going to explore the beauty of allowing yourself to feel it all, feeling everything without being overwhelmed by it all, right? And then on Wednesday, we're going to come back here and get into the soul of nurturing. Nurturing is so important when it comes to your feminine energy. Then on Thursday, when you come back, we're going to go eye to eye with those aspects of growing in divine feminine energy that knocks us down to our knees. And then we're going to close out with talking about strengthening your understanding through inner standing. So the power of going within to set a strong foundation. And that's how we're going to end. We're going to leave you with a strong foundation after these 6 days. So it's important as much as you can to come back every 6 days. If you can't catch us live, make sure you hit that record, watch that recording so that you can catch it before we come live. And so without further ado, it's time to hand it over to the people that you're here to hear from tonight. And so we're going to begin with our lovely lady in red, Miss Qiana Thompson. And so what I'm going to do is just, Qiana, ask you to introduce yourself briefly, and then we're going to hand it over to Greg for an introduction, and then Moot and I are going to get into these questions.
All right, sounds good. Hey, everybody. My name is Qiana Thompson. I'm the owner of Holistic Harmony, Mind, Body, and Soul Solution Focused Therapy Agency with 100% satisfaction and building quality, passionate relationships. I've been an MFT coach since 2014. I am also an executive life coach. I have trained life coaches under the Master Force curriculum, and I am a licensed professional counselor. And
Hold on,
I
hold
do
on
a
a
lot.
quick second, Qiana.
Okay.
We're having a technical, okay, there you go. And then
Can you guys hear me?
kind of
Okay.
breaking up, it's breaking up just a little bit. So you were doing fine earlier. So did you shift? Did something shift?
No, I didn't move.
Okay, let's keep going.
My fault for that. Okay. So I'm a licensed professional counselor. I've been with MFC since 2014. I also am an executive life coach. I have trained the life coaches under the MFC curriculum. And I am a tarot spiritual card reader. And I also run a private coaching group, Qiana's Inner Circle. And I also have a health and wellness component for fitness and bodybuilding.
Yes.
Right. Thank you, Qiana. Greg, tell us about yourself.
Hotep, greetings, everyone. I am Ausar, also known as Greg Stanton. Been with Master Force since 2010, formally, but been part of the Master Force system since 1990, when I had the unique opportunity to meet Muchimsu. And so it's been a lifelong journey. I happen to be a Queen of Spades, the same card that Muchimsu is. So that's my my birth card, Queen of Spades. I'm a Queen of Club, King of Clubs as my primary ruling card. And I say that because I specialize in cards of destiny. Started using them years ago, just anecdotally to find out if they worked. As a therapist, I would run the cards on individuals prior to even engaging them, and only to find out that a lot of what I was able to secure just from doing a reading was instrumental in my effectiveness with the clients, and that was identified by the particular insurance companies that I was working with. They were kind of amazed, but I couldn't tell them what I was doing. So been around for a long time. I'm probably one of the senior men in the group. I was married for 30 years, wife passed 10 years ago, which has been instrumental in me moving from living inside of my yang and moving more into balancing my yang and yang energy, which this conversation tonight will take us deeper into. I am the spiritual leader for Oasis Spiritual Center for Divine Living. It's a transformative spiritual system for those who have engaged life through the Christian path, and it's more expanded, an opportunity for people to take the work from the head to the heart. And what that means is if there's no application, there's no transformation. I do coach on a small level. I don't spend as much energy coaching as I have in the past, other than those who are inside of the spiritual system and that are living inside of the principles and practices that are being espoused.
That's wonderful. You know what's exciting is that both of you spoke professionally about your work, but I know you also as heads of family.
I'm the patriarch of my family system at this moment in time.
And how many children and grandchildren do you have?
I have 4 adult children, and from those 4 adult children, I have 10 grandchildren. And I believe in the next 4 to 5 years, I'll probably begin to see the fruitfulness of my young people having their own children too.
That's beautiful. What about you, Qiana?
I have two. I have one adult and one teenager. Um, I actually, I'm not the head of the house anymore. I was for 24 years, and I literally just quit. So I'm the co-parent now.
And I quit. I love that. Exactly. We can do that. I'm done with that.
Yes.
All right, Dr. Sonja, back to you.
All right. So we're going into the questions now.
Yes, let's delve in.
All right, let's jump in. Okay, so let's start off. And Greg, we're going to let you begin answering the first question we have for you guys tonight. First of all, I would like for you guys to just briefly explain what, because we're saying the power of yin, the power of yin. We want to make sure all of our listeners and people attending today are aware of what we're talking about. So if you can, in your own words, just share what is yin, this word that we keep throwing around, this yin and this yang, if you can explain that briefly. And then Qiana, if you can go after Greg shares.
Well, it would be so left-brained to define that in an isolative manner. And so I prefer to even deal with the topic itself, although we may be focused on the yin energy. To focus on the yin energy is to become very a westernized approach, because to understand the yin, you got to understand the yang, and to understand the yang in its fullest, you have to understand the yin. And for me, when we talk about the yang, yin energy, it's really the life force and how it manifests itself through us, inside of the dichotomy for many people of male energy and female energy, which I think when you start defining it down in those terms, you're defining it to the place of it being more gender driven, whereas yin yang has nothing to do with gender. It has everything to do with an energy, and the totality of the energy of creation. To create, you need a womb and a seed, for that thing to manifest. And so if you're trying to, or if you're living inside of a paradigm of you are focusing on the yin, then you lose the essence of the dance, the harmony, just like the breath. You have to have an in as well as an out in order to experience life. And so I'm excited that in this conversation tonight that we may begin to explore it beyond the misinformation. We live in an age of information where there's so much information out there that's so incorrect. And with that incorrect information, people are getting incorrect outcomes. And for me, the yin and the yang represents the essence of life, and learning to balance, learning to live inside of both, and learning when to cultivate one over the other, that's usually the result of living inside of out of balance. Then you have to bring that into a balanced, and that's what, for me, is the energy of life.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Qiana, what do you have to add to that?
For me, yin is about creativity and the flow of just being in a space. Very random, no order, a little bit more chaotic, a little bit more dark. To me, it's a very opposite of what we're trained to do. It's the free side, it's freedom, it's the right brain, it's the passion, it's the thing that lights the fire under you to get the left brain stuff done. It's a force, it's an energy that we all have, and we have learned to suppress it so that we're not free beings or critical thinkers. We're just barely thinkers. Like left brain is like logic, but then you need that critical randomness, the ask questions, the intuitive, the knowing, to even know how to put your logic together. So I agree with Greg 100% that they are both in need to balance that thing out. Because on the one hand, you have too much yin, you just all over the place and chaotic, and if you have too much left, then you aren't free. You're putting yourself in like a mental prison. And so for me, balancing them both out allows such expression, like we're talking about today, expression and so much joy inside of your life when you are in harmony inside of yourself.
So you guys have both mentioned expression. So can you define for the people what is this expression that you're talking about? And when I ask you to define it, I'm asking you to paint a picture for the people so that the listeners can kind of put themselves in the space and imagine and kind of be present with what it is that you're explaining. So define expression and also explain, why is expression yin? Go ahead, Greg, we'll toss it back to you.
I would start, when we talk about expression, being an example, I'm a queen of spades. And that's a very card that has to do with mastery of life, expression. But then on the other side of my card, I am the king of clubs, which has to do with knowledge, which has to do with that very yang side of who, for the vast majority of my life, I lived inside of books. I've lived inside of being information till I had to get to the place of realization that was limiting. And there's a space for that. So when we talk about expression, for me, the expression, to be able to express the balance of the yin and yang, for me, comes as a result of years of living from the outside in versus living from the inside out. I have had the ability to create great wealth. I've had the ability to I'm 62, so I've had so many things that I could talk about that I was able to create in the energy of the idea or the energy of the yang. But it becomes tiresome. And at the same time, it moves you to a place where you're creating in and of yourself. And you can create calamity for yourself because there's no balance. Because even though I'm creating with the yang, it pulls in the yin, because the yin is like the womb that the idea comes to fruition from the yin. And if you're not working with those two in a harmonious way, you can end up with a lot of things manifesting in your life that are not consistent. And I'd like to use an example. So about 3 months ago, I got an invoice from my daughter for a wedding. And she said, once you complete the invoice, you will get the invite. Automatically, I went into the idea mode. I went into my yang energy of, I need to get a job. And before that day was over, I had a great job. But while I had this job for 3 months, I could sense, like if you body test something, that it wasn't good for me. And I came to the realization that sometimes you can, when you're not making space for both the acknowledgement of the yang and the yin, you can begin to operate by your default. For my default is the yang energy. But I have had to learn, part of my earth school experience is how to incorporate the yin energy in my whole life. As a result of that, I found myself burning the candles at both ends. I became susceptible to the COVID. Now, anybody know me, it's been 40 years since I've had a common cold. Then I get this email from Mushin Su speaking in regards to Neville Goddard's The Feeling. And so it gave me the opportunity to revisit that yin yang balance, and it even shifted my COVID experience. And it was able to do that because I understand that the idea, the yang, and the manifestation of the womb, the yin, working together as if it has already happened, shifted that within 24 hours, I shifted. Because I began to operate from a place that was very different from what I had to do externally or physically to get through this dis-ease. So for me, the experience of life, expression of life, allows me to perfect this thing called life. So I'm a much more powerful creator today, because I don't create from one side of the creative spectrum. I create in balance and harmony.
I really love that. And I just wanted to add just for a minute, Dr. Sandra, that when you really look at and you're saying yin, is that the correct pronunciation, Ausar? Yin and yang?
Yin, yang.
Yeah. So when I actually started studying some of the Confucianism and Buddhists, they don't have a word for God, because everything is about yin yang. So you have to have, and if you look at every element on the planet, everything has that energy, everything. And so, I think Qiana spoke about it. We have to have it so that we can actually tap into both, and possibly at the same time. And Greg, that's what you were saying that you discovered in the healing parts. I just wanted to put that in so that people can continue to hear us from there.
I want to also pull in that my specialty is Nile Valley spiritual systems, Nile Valley spiritual science, from which you get the Chinese and a lot of the other systems. And in our system, there is no God. There is Neturu, or Netter, nature. Yeah. And as we understand nature, we have a better understanding of the divine feminine, which is not has anything to do with our male or femaleness, and divine masculine. These are the energy of life.
Yes.
Qiana, what's creative expression for you? And could you also in that share what life was like for you before you learned about the difference between the yin and yang energy, or about the energies at all?
Yeah, expression for me, expressive is how you share yourself with the world, right? How do you show up every day? And I believe that we all have a life express, but we don't all do it with intention, right? So how you communicate, how you handle conflict, how you love, how you in relationship, like these are all ways that we express who we are and how we learn too who we are throughout our life. And so we have a very I believe a very powerful way of expressing who we are by being able to show up every day in our energy, masculine or feminine energy, and balancing ourselves out and figuring stuff out and learning who we are, growing, evolving, shifting, changing, trauma. It's very circular. I don't feel like expression like you have to express like one time and then it's done. Even in transition, even in death, there's still an expression. And that's why we say things like ancestors or God, or, having ritual space and altars to pay homage to spirits, because it's still an expression. It's still being expressed, just in different ways. So I think here on Earth, the way we express is definitely how we communicate, how we love, how we work, right? How we show up in our, our purpose, our alignment in life. Those are all ways that, for me, is how I see people being expressive and sharing their life with others. Before I knew about yin energy, it's very interesting because I was thinking about that, and a lot of it, I feel like our programming definitely has us in a left brain, society and program where it's like you go to school, you learn something very specific, and you can continue that education, and then you work somewhere very specific. I feel like both men and women are taught to suppress their feminine energy. I feel like both in different ways. I feel like for boys, it's like, you don't cry and things like that. And for girls, it's don't be fast, don't, do certain things or whatever. And no one ever says to them, oh, especially like so this is like probably a weird weird thing, but I know kids who have been punished for touching themselves at young ages, right? And they're curious and trying to figure things out, and no one ever says to them what it is or why they're curious, or talk to them about it, and teach them how to sit in their energy, because it's creative energy, right? Like how to focus that energy and create and learn something with it. Music, art, dance, writing, meditating. Instead we punish. And you don't do that, right? And then it's always, not always the kid's fault. I don't like to use always, but then it's like the punishment and reward system comes into big play and suppressing our energy. So for a long time, even as an adult, learning that my sensuality is my creative side, is my creative juices, and that I'm a creative, was mind blowing. It was like, what?
Right.
All this sexiness is, it's not just for people to point fingers at or judge me or tell me, and oh, I won't want my man around you. What? What are you talking? I'm 12. What are you talking about? You should want him around me. If he's interested in me, you should not want him around me, right? But putting that pressure and that weight on the kids at a very early age. And so I was very much suppressed. And so I was very much in my yang energy, growing up and not knowing what any of that meant. And also knowing that I was very different, knowing that I saw spirits, knowing that people talked to me that I had never met. I was a therapist before I was a therapist. I used to call myself the bus stop therapist. Because every day when I was going to school, somebody new on a bus stop would just start talking to me about for real serious life issues. I'm like, I'm 14, I'm 15. Why are you talking to me? But I would just sit and listen. So I had no clue. I didn't have a guidance in that area at that time, with even knowing the difference between yang and yin yang energy and things like that. It wasn't even that it was taboo or nothing like that. It was I just had no knowledge of it at all. And so learning and growing over the years and really finding out who I am and going through my weight release journey really brought all that stuff up for me, and really was eye-opening to the process of why we even pad ourselves up as women and men. I won't leave, you know, the men out of that, because they have their own set of reasons, but they still come back to our body. Like, we still feel unsafe, we still need protection. And so I padded up. My yin was like, oh, you're not safe, let's pad up. Oh, you still not safe? Let's pad up some more. And so that was my journey into adulthood, and then well into it.
Qiana, real quick, what's your destiny card? Greg said he was.
I'm an ace of diamond. I'm a queen of spade planetary, and a 3 of club planetary.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing that, Qiana. So I know, so cosmically, and I think we've all, everyone here, the 4 of us have grown up in that space, right? Where everything was, the world is yanged out, right? And you have to, I love that phraseology you use, pad up, right? Your yin doesn't feel safe, so I'm gonna pad up. I have to pad up, right? And we've all had different ways of padding up. I'm curious though, to hear from both of you, because now we're in this space and time where, you know, it's acknowledged that we're in a cosmic transition. We're in the middle of a transition and a shift. And because we know what we know now, and we have children. Greg, you talked about your family line, and I'm sure as you learn, you're passing that down, and you're parenting and grandparenting much differently than you probably were parented or grandparented, right? Same for you, Qiana. So now that we're in this space of transition, do you guys still feel like we're totally yanged out? What is your assessment on how yin and yang is being expressed today in this transitional phase in the cosmos?
Well, we've been in a transition I'm a 60s child. When you had like the Fifth Dimension singing the song, The Dawning of the Age, we were, it was foretold what was coming. One of the things that I see we fail to understand is we move into this earth realm. When we're born into the earth realm, we begin to be programmed into humanness. And part of that programming us into humanness really impacts the true essence of who we are as divine spiritual beings, with the ability to run the energy of life in the most proper way. But the more we over-identify with this sensory realm, the more we over-identify with this, the world of matter, we find ourselves having to come to a point in our lives where we spend all these years having these situations and circumstances that we come to the place of transformation. That's a buzzword today. Everybody talks about transformation. What are you being transformed to? And for me, I'm finding in engaging clients, getting back to their true essence, which moves us from being Black, white, male, female. And I see this pendulum swung from being a very yang-oriented society to now is swinging to is being a supposedly yin-oriented society, but they're making the same mistakes that the yang, those who are just pushing the yang, because there was no balance. As for me, for expression for me, when my wife passed, I had to move from expressing in a yang presentation, as example, I'm dad, do what I say, I have the answer, there's no dialogue, to now that Tony, the nurturer, is gone, I had to pick that up. And so for me, it was a natural transition for me to now have to deal with something I would allow someone external to me. So now I deal with my grandchildren in a very different way. I speak from the heart, not the head. I spend more time inside of a conversation of what does it mean to them. I spend more time in helping them to be able to formulate what they feel, and identify why they're choosing to do certain things. It's not right or wrong. It's not do it this way to get it done. If it takes them longer to do it because they have to have the experience, I make space for that. So I'm not as pressed. I'm a free flow. Life is so different now when I'm living in the expression of the yang and the yin. So I'm more acknowledging of the yin today because I can see how living in the yang of life almost destroyed my life.
Wow.
Qiana?
Can you repeat the question again?
Absolutely. So I was asking today, in today's time, as we sit in this cosmic transition, what is your assessment of, are we still totally yanged out? What is your assessment where we are now?
I think we're still totally yanged out. I think overall, I think more people are waking up for sure. But overall, we're definitely yanged out. I think the newer babies are teaching us a lot and coming in here and shaking stuff up, which is good. We definitely need that, and I know it bothers a lot of people because we're still very much yanged out, and we're still trying to do the old things, especially inside of parenting of what traditional, right, parenting, of those power dynamics and those power imbalances of I'm the authority, so you do what I say, whether you like it, whether you agree with it, or whether it's right, wrong, or different. This is the way I do it, so this is the way you're gonna do it. And these new babies are like, yeah, no. And so they're helping us in this transition and transformation, to bring the softness, to soften us up. Most grandparents are very softer than when they were parenting. Especially if you're great grandparent, the more like we, get softer and softer. But I think that we still have a lot of work to do, and it's happening whether we like it or not. The energy is so real. Like, I do positive news inside of my inner circle, and so that we can know how to implement the energy and harness it for ourselves and use it in our everyday life. And right now, like Moose said, we're in a full moon in Gemini, beautiful energy that's bringing about love and relationships. And also Venus went retrograde. Venus taking a little nap right now, so we got to look at these relationships and this love, and we could, find out that we're in a space where we need to upgrade our love, and we might find out that we need to release some things that we're attached to, and we may walk into some new love, right? And so the energy is softening us up. It's softening us up. Are we yanged out? I think that we are. Are we gonna stay yanged out forever? No.
And I am so glad you brought up the New Earth children. Thank you, because the star seeds, the crystals, the indigos, they can rest now because they've already made the way for the rainbows. The indigos can chill out. Y'all already bulldozed through, but that softening that the New Earth children are bringing, and this is why we're still yanged out, because most of them are being put on pharmaceutical drugs. Okay, that is a yang effect. They're literally being shut down at birth. Can you imagine you're giving your 18-month-old anxiety drugs? No, right? Isn't that great? So that when you say yanged out, Qiana, that's what I see. And then the feminization of boys, that's yanged out. They're literally soft and sensitive because they're coming in to teach us. They're coming to show us how to feel and sense ourselves, both as men and women. And so then you have this society moving them towards not even honoring themselves for what they came here for. They came here to teach us.
Yep.
Right? Not to just live outside of their body. Like Greg said, I'm not just a woman. I'm not just Black. I'm not just my age. You know, there's so much more to who we are as the individuals. So that's how it looks yanged. That's the yang part, you know, and I just wanted to put that in because we like, well, ain't nobody rioting on. No, that's what not yang is now. It's subtle. Right.
And I think Greg, when he opened up, he talked about the dichotomy, right?
Yeah.
He talked about just being mindful of thinking about it and you know, yang over here and yin over there. And then he said, and just now when he answered the question, he mentioned how you can have too much yang, but you can also err on the side of too much yin, right?
Yeah.
We can do it wrong. And he brought it all together with balance. Like the goal is balance. Even when you look at the yin yang symbol, the black and white swirl circle that we see that we're all familiar with, it's not a half and half necessarily. It's, you know, it's a flowing of the masculine and the feminine divine energy. And even on the Black side, there's a little white dot. On the white side, there's a little black dot. So there's a little bit of both in each other. And it's about flow and balance at any given moment in time. It's not just about, it's not a continual balance because our situations, our context change. So therefore, what we do to balance change. So as you guys both talk about balances and imbalances, what are some cues that the people can look for to know that their yin is imbalanced? And what are some things that they can do to begin to transform and bring back balance? And I also want to add, when I say imbalance, I also mean wounded too, because sometimes our divine feminine is wounded, which is similar to imbalance, right? That wounding can cause an imbalance. So what are some signs that you have a wounded yin or an imbalanced yin? And what are some things that people can walk away from to know to do to heal and to bring that yin back into balance and flow with that masculine?
So this is a powerful conversation. As a therapist for a long time, I operated 90% of the individuals I were dealing with was African-American females. I did have a large part of my clientele at one time who were males who were dealing with issues of homosexuality. We're in a dangerous time because we're in a time where people make what could be perceived, now I'm not in judgments, but nature is the prime example. And if we live inside of nature, shows us certain things. And I'm saying this because when you're dealing with men, the demasculization of men, a lot of men I have found don't have this conversation because to talk about the wounding of their divine feminineness, or don't even want to identify as having a divine feminine aspect to who they are, it's because of what we have succumbed to as a people group. When I say the people group, I'm talking about the expression of what the enslavement period did to the masculineness of men. And as a result today, you see more men showing up in what could be perceived or as perceived as feminine. And that's an out of balance thing. This is not a judgment conversation, but it's to say that sometimes what is manifested in our society is madness. And because more people identify with the madness, it makes it okay. Just as well as when we were under yang of life, where anything that was male-oriented, society was crafted around male-oriented, and we said it was right, but we came to the point of realization that ultimately it will be the demise of society. And so now this pendulum swung the other way, but you have found when you're over-identifying with just the outward expression of the yin, you miss the unseen, the spiritual expression of that. And I guess I'm kind of struggling with, because this is a conversation we have not been able to have, because the moment you enter this conversation, people take positions and they don't hear what really is going on. Back to my clients who were males who had been sexually tampered with or abused, misused. First of all, many of them would never tell anyone. For some reason, they were able to come to me and share with me. And I think when we talk about what's happening to today's society, the masculization of men because of it's a new definition. Instead of dealing with the pain, the hurt, the decisions that have been made, we are just saying, I am what I am. I don't agree with it totally. That's what the work is about. Getting to, why am I manifesting, showing up this way? How has these things that has transpired in my life altered my ability to truly show up as a divine male? Ausar, my name Ausar. It means the fully embraced expression of the God force through the maleness of me. But the other side of that is I have an offset. I acknowledge the male, the female. I acknowledge the inner divine energies. Did I go down another path, or do you see how that kind of, that question initiated that for me?
Yes, I appreciate you sharing and illuminating that as well too. When you're working with folks and they're noticing and you're helping facilitate them noticing some of the imbalances in the wounding of the yin, what are some things that you're also helping them do to do the healing and the balancing of that?
To first accept that you were born into the right family, in the right setups, for you to come up, that you are in a divine expression of source manifesting as itself through you. And so whatever these situations you are challenged with in life, they are part of your evolution, your evolution. And instead of being a victim, you become a participant in that. And knowing that there comes a point in all of our lives that we could change what is showing up. But we don't want to change what is showing up until we understand why it showed up.
And I was going to add to that, Greg, too. We expose them to tools where they can know themselves, because the greatest, the ability for them to see who they are and what they came here to do, and actually see that they chose the family that they came through, and that, there's no accidents. So now what can you do with that, instead of, saying somebody, did something? It's more powerful, far more empowering.
Mm-hmm.
Qiana, what would you say more to that too?
Yeah, the imbalances, to me, I agree with Greg. It shows up in madness or anger, a lot of frustration because something is just not right, and we can feel it. And I think that we don't know how to get imbalanced, and so then it comes off like, right? Because we don't know we haven't been told how to say, hey, I need some yin time, right? And so I do a daily rituals every day that helps me with my yin. But and it's simple things, elaborate things. So I drink hot water every day. I light my candles every day. I light my incense every day. Those are things that I travel with my incense. I was like, oh, gotta put this in my bag. I travel with my essential oils. I have my moon water. I have crystals. These are things that help keep me in balance. And so I know when I'm getting frustrated, I know when I'm getting angry or triggered, that I'm not in balance. That's how I know. And I think, of course, you can see it in other people. You can see it in yourself. You take the time to learn who you are. You can see it in other people, and you can hold compassionate space for them. What you brought up, Moo, was a good point. What I do with most of my coaching clients, in the very beginning, we do a family constellation. And so I show them how they're connected through destiny cards, like your family as a constellation. Let's look and see how you were brought up. What energy you have around you, and see the connection. And a lot of times they give people a different perspective, and to see like their parents as a star versus their parent. They're like, well, my parent used to, beat on me and blah, blah, blah. And then we look and they got this Saturn connection, or they got a Mars connection, right? And it's like, okay, your star in her physical form or his physical form didn't understand your Mars connection. You guys needed to do physical things together. And so it comes out again as anger and violence if it's not channeled right. And so when we help people to know who they are and know their cosmic lineage, then we open up a whole new world of healing for them. And so that's usually how I start my sessions off. Well, not the first session, but like when we get into the work, we're going to do a family constellation. Let's see the energy that you came here with, and let's see the energy that you brought. And then we can start like working it and looking at the trauma, and then still seeing too, like how you can heal that. And when you know who you are a little bit better, it makes the healing that much more easier.
That's great. Yeah.
So when I'm here, go ahead, Greg.
For me, because I'm a training practitioner, mental health, and so I know a lot of modalities that we can employ. But for me, I have found therapy wastes a lot of time. I operate from the realm of the mind, because for me, all that matters is mind, spirit. So that for me is helping individuals get clear of the contrast. So whatever's showing up right now in your life is the contrast. Some of the contrasts we create, and we may look at what were the advantages of creating those contrasts. But at the end of the conversation is, what do you want to express and experience? And that's where I go to work with clients from the perspective of helping them to get clear on what it is they want to express as.
Yeah.
And part of that conversation is sometimes we are wanting to express as something that is not part of our sole purpose. It could be because somebody else is expressing it then. So we get clear as to, what do I want my life to look like? And then that's where I see the divine energies of the yin, yang, or the divine masculine, the idea, the thing imagined, and then that divine manifestation of that thing being brought into fruition. And a lot of work has been just inside of getting clear and holding a very deliberate and intentional state. I went from being in the midst of COVID, having a COVID experience, to resetting myself, and within little or no time, all of that's behind me. Because the mind, we are more powerful than we realize.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm going to ask, just to clarify a statement that you made there, if you wouldn't mind doing so, when you said that therapy is a waste of time, or you find that therapy wastes a lot of time, would you mind clarifying that just a little bit? Because I know that, as life coaches, when we get to a certain point, sometimes we will refer out to certain different types of therapists and things of that nature. Never. Okay.
Well, here's the thing.
So just to clarify, because there's a difference of opinion there, but for those who are listening,
Dr. Sonji, I know what you're saying.
But yes, yeah, because there's a traditional thought of what therapy is, and I don't want to put words in Greg's mouth. I think I know what he means when he's
Now,
saying it.
Yes.
We waste a lot of time.
to
There's
be
a
honest,
traditional Western style of therapy, and then there's, a different type of therapy. But I want Greg's words to be the ones to clarify that stage.
Yes.
so I personally stepped away from the discipline. Even though I work for the VA, I oversee the community employment program. That is, any vet that wants a job, I help them get a job. I have to follow certain protocols, doing assessments and all those kinds of things. But I have also shown that I can get that vet their job without that assessment. And there's a lot of, so for me, it's up to the paradigm that you want to work and live in. So if that's where you want to be as a therapist, I let people be where they are, because there's only some people, there are some individuals who at this point in their life only can deal with therapy. But then there comes a more perfect, a more excellent way. And that's what coaching was about for me. I transitioned from being a therapist, letting my license lapse and all those things, because I found coaching was more powerful.
Mm.
And that was for me. But I tell each individual, a lot of times the driver behind what people are doing is not so much as what their soul path is, it's money.
Yep.
And so they can choose to continue to do what's being done in the way it's being done because they get that paycheck. But then that's where it comes down to each of us are we have to be accountable. Because when you do something, when you go against what represents your highest and greatest good, like getting that job I took with United Parcel Service, I went against my highest and greatest good.
Mm.
I leaned back into the old me of saying, I have to exchange time for money in order to clear this invoice. And see, things happen for a reason. Life gave me another lesson without me really realizing. Before I knew it, I was moving back into an old paradigm. And I just had to take responsibility. So for coach, for those who are therapists, for those who are doctors, if you buy into that system, fine. I don't have that conversation. I don't discredit that. If it works, work it. But for me, I wanted to see a more excellent way for people that perhaps don't have an insurance card.
Yep.
Or perhaps don't have the money.
Yep.
So that's where I moved from that. I moved more into my king of clubs space now, intuitively, knowing just knowing things that you can't find in a book.
See, I wouldn't have been able to explain it like that. That's why I needed to come from Greg.
Right.
Thank you so much, but I just didn't want, because I'm mindful that this is being recorded, and I'm mindful that people are going to come back and watch it at different times. And, I wanted to make sure we didn't gloss over that. And I know a little bit about your background and about the shift that you made. And I thought it was important to put that lens onto that statement as well, to color it a little bit. So thank you for adding that color as well. So you guys have both talked about giving really good examples of what it looks like when that wounded yin is showing up or that imbalanced yin is showing up, and how you yourself have addressed it and how you help the people that you're working with address it too. And I especially love that you brought up that it's a daily practice for you to stay balanced. And I think that's very important because, again, we are still, totally yanged out, and we still oftentimes our default, because of the way we were raised, is to think in terms of what can I exchange, like exchanging time for money. And sometimes we wait until we have one of those, we have acute or something's going on in our body or something to let us know that we're imbalanced, and then we want to try to do the work to balance it. But Qiana pointed out very plainly that maintaining balanced energy in your life expression is a daily practice. It's a daily practice. It's not just something you do when you feel like things are out of whack, because then, you know, you have to work even
Right.
harder
Right.
to try to come from behind, right? So it's a daily practice. And what's beautiful about a daily practice is that it gets you in tune. It helps you be present with yourself. And it gets you in tune to learn how to listen to your intuition, to learn how to understand your intuition, and then to learn how to obey and move in your intuition, which again, the feminine energy is that's tapping into that type of intuitive space as well. So thank you so much for just, I'm so glad you said that, Qiana. It's a daily practice. It's not something that you do and you don't enjoy it. And I follow you on Instagram. So I've seen your weight release journey. And let me tell you, that is a daily practice. It's not something that you just do when you decide to do a 7-day cleanse or, you know, I'm gonna do this for 10 days. No, it's a commitment. And thank you so much for sharing that. So we've talked about signs of imbalance and ways to move into balance. Can you help people visualize what an integrated self looks like? So when that yin and yang is integrated, what does it look like? What do the people have to look forward to as they're doing this work?
Yeah, and I'll allow you go first.
Oh, okay. You know what I think it looks like? I think it literally looks like my life in so many ways. I do sit in meditation and I do have ideas and I'm very much a creative and I do have all this stuff, right? All the crystals and all the oils and everything. But then on my yang side, I go work out. I lift heavy. I lift heavy weights. I run. I walk. And so I work. I have a spiritual practice. But I still work. I still create ways and avenues to make money, right? So it looks like a very fulfilled life. And that's however you make it to be, right? But I get to create, I get to be self, I get to be hard and lift 300 pounds, right? I get to do this. I get to live my life. And I get to express both sides unapologetically, authentically, transparently, right? I share, like Dr. Sonji said, I share my life on social media, and I share even more of it in my inner circle where we do the work. When we was doing the cosmic news last night for the new moon, we were crying, we were releasing, and like it was no earthly reason, but we knew what it was. Like, oh, it's a full moon, we is full, it's time to let some tears go, like we talking about all type of stuff. And we get into that space, and I get to be in that space. I get to be present with myself. I get to be present when I need to work out and I need to be more yang, and it's okay. It's like it's twofold with women. If we're yanged out or we express our yang, then it's, oh my gosh, she a man, oh my gosh, she this, she that. But no, I need the yang too. I need the physicality of it. I need the logic. I need that part too. And so I get to have it all in so many ways. Like, you don't have to be one thing or the other. I think that you get to express and enjoy both sides of yourself, and you get to bring that into balance however it looks for you. I'm very sensual, I'm very soft, and at the same time I'm very tough and I'm very rough. And there's a time and place for everything. For my drive and my ambition, my nurturing, my love, there's a place for all of that inside of me, and for me to express and share. And I think that's what it looks like when you are just comfortable with who you are, and you know who you are, and you understand what energy is, you understand that you have both masculine and feminine energy, then you okay with it, and you just be yourself. And I think that's even like with me, and I know men who are creatives, who are very in touch with their yin, who make jewelry, who cook, who are very nurturing. In all honesty, he's a parent now. He has our son. He's very nurturing. He's actually more nurturing than I am. He's a Cancer, I'm a Scorpio. We're more like, right? We're more protected. And Cancers are more nurturing. They're the moon, they're the mother of the zodiac. So, for men to be able to be okay with that and know, like, hey, I'm the mother, I'm the nurturer, and it's okay. And it doesn't take anything away from masculinity or anything like that, but it's a part of who you are and being able to express it. So I think that when we come to terms with what energy is and actually embodying it, it looks amazing. It looks like a miracle. It looks like a fairy tale. People, oh, you live in fairy tale land. Yes, I do. I do. And I created that. I get to be the co-author of my life. I get to talk to the universe and say, hey, I'm not liking where I start going with this thing. I don't like that. Let's rewrite this. Let's try something different. And the universe say, okay, I'm trying to tell you anyway, because you ain't listening. I'm happy you sitting down talking to me now. Let's get you lined up with where you need to be. Let's get you lined up with the people you need to meet. Let's do this thing. And then you get to go and you get to rewrite your life. Oh my God. Every day, as many times as you need to. If you feel like you've gotten off your path, rewrite that thing. Rewrite it and rewrite it and rewrite it until you are expressing how you want to express. Do not get into a box. And we put ourselves in the box. And don't get me wrong, I'm talking about programming and stuff like that. We got all that. We know that. But we put ourselves inside of this box trying to be something that we're not. And if we embrace who we are and embrace our energies, rewrite that thing. If you get into a space where you're like, yeah, no, this not it. Rewrite, next message, rewrite. You just keep doing it until forever.
And Qiana, I just wanted to emphasize that part of the reason that actually works for you, that 8 of diamond is that male energy, that heat, that outside gonna get it done, boom, boom, boom. But if you actually allow your programming to take you over, you will still be inside of, let me pad up, let me protect myself, let me make sure nobody really see me because I don't want to deal with that. You see that? Yeah. And then you have that Queen of Spades that goes into the ultra feminine of self-mastery. Like, really, what am I here for? So you're driving both of those beautifully. I just want to say that.
Thank you.
That was beautiful, Qiana. I was about to say, we're done. We're done. What is there left? I mean, she went all the way through from day 1 to day 6, but y'all, it's a lot more. So don't you dare leave.
It's a lot more.
Greg, how is it? Explain to the people what that integrated yin and yang is like. Help them understand.
For me, it's like breathing. Breathing is the biggest metaphor of that. You breathe. One of the first things I learned inside of the coaching system that we're in was the power of breath. And breath is if you have many people are breathing incorrectly, so they're not getting the fullness. A lot of the sickness and diseases because of improper breathing. And so I'm saying, for me, what works is just the practice of everyday breathing, the practice of gratitude every day, the joy of dealing with contrast. Every day I'm going to have some level of contrast. It gives me the opportunity to exercise my divinity, not as a victim, but as a victor. Life, Earth School is fun school. Just the experiences I get the opportunity to be inside of, the ability to transform my life, and being concerned about my life. Not so much concerned about everybody else's around me life. Yeah. I look at their lives, I can see contrast, I can see lessons to be learned, but for the most part, I concern myself with my life. I don't allow television to cast its vision for my life. I don't allow what the media says to become my message. I create my own messaging. And I do that through meditation and not even getting, I'm an urban meditationalist, meaning I just sit still and be still.
Yeah.
And I just, and be present to what I hear, being present to being quiet, being present to the reality that I am the God that creates the world I live in. You know, people like Murphy, his books, early on, Mushem Su and I had conversations on how his writings changed her life. And, you know, I had situations in my life where I employed the same principles and practices. So I'm just like, it's a wonderful time to live, but at the same time, we got to be careful you don't get caught in the noise, the shiny things that get people's attentions, and be present to what did you come here to do, be a have. And until you can fully embrace your true divine feminine and masculine, outside of the gender role you live in, you are limited to being a mere human being. We're more powerful than we have ever been taught to believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I know that Moot had put it out there for the audience to see if there were any questions in the house.
Yeah,
And
let me see. Orlando said something. Hey, Orlando, what was your comment?
Oh, I was just saying, I'm not on camera, but I just wanted to say that what Qiana said, you can rewrite your story. I felt that you can rewrite your story you don't like something, change it. And it's simple as that. It is so simple. And being present, you know, this was Sonji said, be present. Yeah, being present is just one of the most best gifts you can ever have. And that can help you rewrite your story. So I thank both of you. And what Greg said, oh my God, you all got me so really excited for the rest of this week. So thank you guys. This is really awesome.
right. Yes.
And you know, we have to be careful. It's called escapism. When things are not going the way as you want them to be, to create them as you desire them to. But sometimes it's the in between, the on the way, the journey that we find we are strengthened to find joy at the end of the journey. And so we have to be very careful that, like when I have a contrast, I don't automatically try to change it. I try to understand, what does it mean? Why is it showing up right here, right now? And once I understand that thing, understand it, I have an overstanding of it and an understanding of it, then I sometimes will say, it is what it is. I don't even need to change it. I'm just going to accept it for what it is. And then there's sometimes when I realize, you know what? I'm going to change it, but I understand it, because if I don't understand it, it's going to manifest again. So sometimes we can abort a lesson that will only show up again. Yeah. So we have to be very strategic in what it is we create. And yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You have to, for me, intent is everything. What are my intentions? What am I creating?
Yes.
I don't believe there's no avoidance of the work. Like, you're gonna do the work. And how long it takes you to do the work, I think, is the thing. Because the more you resist, the more that thing persists. Like you keep saying, it keeps showing back up, and you will find yourself not being able to rewrite. What you'll find yourself doing is rewinding.
Oh, I like that.
The same things over and over, right? So you avoidance of the work is impossible. You can resist. And how you know you're resisting is because it keeps showing up, and you keep staying in an angry phase, a bitter phase, an unhealthy phase. It shows up physically in our health. It shows up mentally. And I like that you brought up the word escapism. A lot of times when we are in our yin, I used to work on the psych ward many moons ago. And when we are trapped in escapism in our yin, it looks like schizophrenic. It looks like schizoaffective. It looks like these things that they have labeled as disorders. And so I'm a therapist by trade. So I kind of agree with Greg, not with the waste of time, but that I just believe there's a time and place for everything, and that there is significance in knowing these diagnoses. I do appreciate that part of my education. However, I do use the life coach modality more, but I still, use that. It shows up too. It's a time and place for it. So when we're yinged out and we're in escapism, that's what it looks like. When we're yanged out, it looks the same, but more bipolar, more, it's schizophrenic too, because you have it's different. You have angry, violent men who rape and abuse are like yanged out, and so it shows up. So if you are in a place of resistance, you will know. There's extremes. I'm talking about extremes, like at the end of the road when you're in the psych ward or you end up in jail. But before it gets to that, there's lower levels of you being, violent, or you being angry, you snapping at people, things like that. So that's different than a rewrite. That's a rewind.
There was one more question on the Facebook page. I'm going to go there and read that. Greg, I think this question was asked when you were talking, and it asks, what does he mean by being accountable? Accountable to what purpose? So I think they were looking for clarity. You mentioned something about accountability, and I don't know how long ago that was. If you need them to clarify, let me know. I asked them.
Well, when I use the term accountability, so I start with the cards of destiny to kind of get an overview of who is represented before me. And so inside of the cards of destiny, it gives you a kind of a sense. It's not like these are the things that are going to happen in your life, but it's like guideposts. And so to be accountable to your guideposts, like being a queen of spades, I had to come to the realization that I had to learn to run that divine feminine. And the only way I could do that was deal with what was showing up in my life. Being accountable to what's showing up in my life. Being accountable to not only what showed up in my life, but what I created in my life. So when I talk accountability, I talk about accountability to my solar path, what I come here to experience, express as, and I also deal with on the day-to-day basis, the thoughts I think, the intentions I hold, being accountable to them.
I would just like to add to that, because most of the time people think of accountability to an authority. And actually, we are our own authority at the soul level, right? And one of the things I was 19 when I got married, right? And my husband turned out to be very controlling and abusive. And I remember having to go deep within inside of myself to work through that situation. And then he was murdered, right? And then I got with another guy who was very controlling and abusive, and I was like, okay, I still didn't see the pattern yet, but I went to a therapist, right? And I was working for corporate America, and corporate America, yeah, we can find you a therapist, and we'll find you an African-American woman to work with you. And, your co-payment is $75. So, and I'm talking about, this was back in 1980, right? And I'm, late 80s. And I was just like, $75 every week. And that's my copay. And I remember asking the universe, can you please show me what it looks like to heal so that I can help other people, and they can afford it. because
Hmm.
that, you know, and I only went to her once because she said to me, did you ever see your father abuse your mother? Well, I didn't grow up with a father. I didn't have men in my house. I said, no, I didn't. And she said, well, do you know why you don't like yourself? And I was like, this ain't going down the right path, right? Right. So I literally sat in meditation. And what I was shown is that the angry women in my house had a frequency. That frequency became my vibration. So I too was that, but because I was taught to be sweet and the good girl, I thought that I could counter it. But what did I do? I attracted angry men because I was suppressing my own anger. I wasn't allowing it to be expressed. So it was showing up in my face. And when I literally got clear about that, I went to the other two men who I had been in relationship with, who were again abusive and hard. I went to them and I apologized to them. This is me being accountable. I apologized for them because I said, you showed up in my video. You showed up in my video. You couldn't help but be that type of person because the universe was trying to show me how to clean up my frequency. And that's when I began to do what you said, Dr. Sandra, the womb work. I started going back into the womb and healing that and working with my mother's ancestral energy to get that cleaned out so that I was not vibrating like the women in my family. And they don't know that in therapy, is my point. I come back every week and talk about, oh yeah, my mother was put in a mental hospital. Yeah, I had to raise myself. Nobody I could say that's 10 times over and it wouldn't get to, oh, well, have you worked on cleaning up your vibration? That sounds like some crazy shit right there. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, you've hit something, a nail on the head that we don't deal with. So even inside of the yin, which is the energy, which is the frequency, there are different frequencies, higher, lower. You can operate, just to say yin doesn't mean it's positive.
No.
Because you can have the yin energy that's manifesting at a lower frequency that's giving you a vibration that does not manifest, or that represent the yin at its greatest potentiality.
But yin energy is automatically dark, it's automatically chaotic. I mean, chaos. I mean, the feminine.
You say the yin energy is automatic.
It's dark. It's dark. Everything that's birthed comes out of darkness.
But darkness only that.
The seed goes in the ground, is buried.
So here's what we have to.
And it's not bad. I'm saying it's not bad.
Right. So those are pieces that I hope over the next 6 days we can help people understand.
Yeah.
Because to say dark, most people think negative.
That's right.
But out of darkness, light shines brightest.
You have to have the darkness to create.
Yes.
When you meditate and manifest, you have to go in the darkness.
Yeah, scripturally, it tells us that if you ever get the opportunity to read Job 14, it says, while asleep upon your bed, when you're slumbering into the state of dream, that is when source is able to download, to correct, and even give an ideas. So sleep is so important. And you can't have sleep without darkness.
That's right.
Wow, that's I think we are just laying planks for what's going to evolve here the next 7 days.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Agreed. Before we move into, I didn't see any more questions in the chat, either on Facebook or here in the Zoom room. But so this is the way that when I attend these type of events, events that are just so full of information, and you guys have shared a lot, we've asked a lot of questions. I always find it helpful to have a recap of important points and takeaways at the end, just to help me in my mind bring it all back together so that once this is finally over, I can have a place to ground myself into and to ruminate over, because I love to just kind of turn over in my mind everything that I heard and, oh, what did I feel when they said this? Or what did that bring up for me? What happened? Oh my gosh, when he said that, I was just so excited. What is it? Because I understand that, we're all, Mood and I are facilitators, but we're all facilitating messages here in these sessions for everyone that's watching live, for everyone that's going to come through and watch a recording. And so as we come close to the end, and before we go into your closing, because I want you guys to share all the good stuff about yourself and resources, and we're going to get into all of that in closing remarks. But even before your closing remarks, if you can give a good recap of some pointed takeaways that the audience should have, I think that'll be very helpful to help folks tie it all in together. Good information. Qiana, you want to start?
Sure. I think the most important thing for me with Life Express is being who you are, embracing all of you, the dark and the light, the masculine and the feminine energy, and deciding how you want to show up every single day, even when no one's watching, even when there's no hoopla, even when there's no, applause, or what do you get on the thing, the love buttons and share buttons and all those things. When there's no social media, when it's just you and God, how do you want to show up? How do you want to express? And I think that's very important to always remember, that you get to show up every single day authentically, and transparently, and in love.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So showing up every day authentically, in a space of love, being yourself. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Embracing the dark and the light.
Embracing the dark and the light. Great. Greg?
Again, for me, it's I am Ausar. Every day, the more I say that I am Ausar, it's not so much as a name, but the essence of being divine, the divine male manifested. And inside of being the divine male manifested, realizing that I cannot be that without understanding that there's a divine feminine aspect to who I am, as well as divine masculine. Running the balance of those two, being present to the lesson that's learned in either one of them on a daily basis. Don't take life too serious. Just being present to the transformation from being a mere human being to really walking as divine beings.
So I'm gonna just recap and see just those main points. So I heard, first of all, understanding that there is a yin and yang energy, understanding the energies that are operating, and then also doing the work to balance those energies as well. And through being present to yourself and what's going on around you. Anything I missed there? You need to add something there?
No, that's for me, that life is about Earth School. You're here in this short duration of time to express as your highest and greatest self.
And I want to add some other points that came out that I think are poignant. Qiana mentioned the daily practice. And we're talking about Life Express If you want to move into the space of expressing yourself authentically, once you know, get to the point where you're here today. So you now understand that these energies are present and at work in your life, right? If you didn't have that understanding before coming into this session, you have that understanding now. So you've hit that base level there. And now doing the work, understanding that work to move into that space of authenticity and being present happens from daily work, daily practice. Greg mentioned breathing. You can start with something as simple as breathing to your center every day as a daily practice, whether you do it in the morning when you wake up, whether you have a time around your lunch break. We're Zooming now, so if you're like me, I take lunch all day, I eat all day, or you can do it at the end of the day. So something as simple as establishing a daily practice, such as breathing to center to help you be present with yourself in that moment, and to just train yourself to do something on a regular basis is a way to move into this space of authenticity, because that breathing helps you be still, be quiet, moving. Then you can move into a space of meditation, and then you can begin to feel what these energies are bringing up for you. These cues and signs that our speakers gave us today about when you're feeling that wounded yin or that imbalanced yin. First, you have to be present to yourself in order to even recognize that you're angry, you're upset, you're feeling depressed, right? All those things that might come up in that wounding or that imbalance. So I thought that was very, very important key takeaway for today, that daily practice. And Greg gave us a very simple one that we can all do, which is just breathing that in and out to your belly, in and out. Moot, any key takeaways that we missed today in this recap that you want to add?
You did a phenomenal job. I think you got it. And, you know, we're recording, so we can always go back, but it has just been wonderful. I'm already going into close it. You all know how moved I get, so. I think you got it, Dr. Sonji.
All right, well, thank you guys for recapping that for our listeners. I think that's going to be very much appreciated for those who go back and revisit this recording to get to the end and to be able to kind of recall some things that they may have glossed over or that they should most definitely take away. So of course, we have some great closing remarks. So I'm going to start with you, Greg. And I want you to just share some resources that can assist people with going deeper into this topic of life expressed. And then talk a little more about your services. I know you mentioned you don't provide coaching as much as you used to, but you do have some other things going on. Would love for you to share those. Tell people where they can find you. And I'm going to save the sign-offs for a little later because we have a little time. Don't sign off yet. Just share some resources with the people. Talk about some of the things you have going on right now that people can connect with you with, and how can folks find you?
Well, the easiest way to find me, if you're in a spiritual conversation, Oasis Spiritual Center for Divine Living.com. That's my website, Oasis Spiritual Center for Divine Living. Also, if you want more information about what I do offer in the area of coaching, is Solutions, SOUL, solutionsforliving.com. That's the website there. I have a YouTube channel if you want to know more about teachings I've given in these particular areas. That's YouTube. That's the Oasis Spiritual Center channel. So you can find anything you want to find out there. I got an upcoming course, Envision, what I call the Envision Masterclass, which is a 4-week course that is offered at a $22 offer, because it's not about the money, but it's about the value. So if individuals are interested in that, I'll drop the link. It starts in December. And the thing about that particular course is many times people start the year vision boarding. They're creating from the outside in. But with the Envision Master Course, we start with going inside and not being given a vision from external stimuli like TV, friends, family, what others are having, but really getting to know what is it that I should be creating in this year. So that's a great course, 4 weeks. I encourage you guys to consider taking that on.
Greg, is that course live or is that a recorded course? How do they engage?
It's an actual live course. And I'll drop the link in the chat there for those who want to get more information about it. So it's there.
Thank you. And that link is, tell me the name again so those who are scrolling through can remember.
That's https /
No, the name of the course, the name of the course.
The name of the course is Envision Masterclass, The Sacred Path to Creating.
All right. Go ahead, Qiana.
So resources, right, is what we're doing now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have the Inner Circle, which is a private coaching group. It is currently hosted on Facebook. We're actually moving it. I have my own platform now, so it's actually being moved to my own website. But and it is live. I do videos of meditation, of yoga, of EFT, and I also do a class and I do cosmetic. So it's a lot going on in there. We do the work. It's all about application. So you see it in real time. You see, it's amazing. I started 3 years ago. The people who have been in there have evolved in ways that I couldn't even imagine when I started this thing. So that's a great resource. And of course, we learn about who we are and like how to apply the cosmic news to our world. How do we create with this? How do we make this make sense? Like if it's a full moon or it's Mercury retrograde, like not to blame anything on the cosmics, right? But to hold ourselves accountable and create with the cosmos. So how do we do that? And so that's what I teach inside of the Inner Circle. It's really fun. I also have a YouTube channel. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, all under Holistic Harmony, Mind, Body, and Soul. The YouTube channel, I do card readings on my YouTube channel, so you can go there and catch readings. I go live on Facebook, but again, that's about to be moved. I'm going to be going live on Facebook. I'm going to be going live on YouTube. So if you want to catch me live, I do a weekly pick a card. I've been doing that also for about 3 years now. And we're moving that to the YouTube side. So a Holistic Harmony, Mind, Body, and Soul. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me Instagram, everywhere under the same thing, Holistic Harmony. And also my personal page is Qiana Thompson is my name. Oh, all and right. I wanted one quick more resource that is very yin is You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. That's my go-to book. I travel with it. I have it with me everywhere I go. I really enjoy this book because it gives you the yin version of healing physical things in your life that we have expressed physically and through emotions. And so I think that's a good reason. I think everybody should kind of have that book.
Yep.
That's beautiful. Qiana, are you able to, I think you're on the phone. Are you able to drop anything into a chat?
Well, yeah, it's kind of far for me.
Okay, no worries, because I want to make sure that we capture it in the chat as well.
Okay.
I know I put the Holistic Harmony, Mind, Body, and Soul, that they can find you there on IG, Facebook. And what was the YouTube channel? It's
Holistic Harmony, Mind, Body, and Soul.
Okay, so you can also find you there, Holistic Harmony, Mind, Body, and Soul. Great. So everyone should know how to Google, so they be able to put that in and see your beautiful face. And then they'll have that information. Great. Now, for those who wanted to go deeper into this topic, maybe do some independent work, do you guys have any resources for folks who might want to do some independent work if they're not maybe in a space where they're ready to connect with a coach or a guide? Any books or any other type of resources that folks can use to help them out?
Well, I'm just a strong believer that sometimes when you try to do it by yourself, too many people are backdoor engineering everything. You need to find someone or ask the universe to connect you with the right person, because you can only take yourself so far early on. But once you get to the place where you, one, have been walking this path with a guide, a teacher, then you can start your journey in a way that is very different than when you try to do it right out the box. A lot of times people don't want nobody tell them nothing, don't want to come alongside of any individual, don't want to be accountable to themselves through others. That's one thing as coaches we do. We hold people accountable to themselves. So I would just encourage everyone who's really evolving to either find someone who's leading these conversations. There are certain books out there that I do recommend, but a lot of times it's good to have someone to help you process those books and that information.
Yeah, and I would recommend, it's a small series by Robert A. Johnson. He has one book called She, The Psychology of the Feminine, another one called He, The Psychology of the Masculine, and then another one called We, The Psychology of the Couple. So you can look for Robert Johnson, and I'm sure it's out there on Amazon, but it's a small book, it's a quick read, but it gives you some of the mythological concepts that we've been taught that we probably didn't even realize it was teaching us something about ourselves. We might have thought it was just oh, this is a fairy tale, sometimes we're taught things, but we're not taught how to apply what we're learning. And it's not enough just to get the knowledge. We have to learn things that we can actually use and change the quality of our life, because it doesn't make sense to know something if you can't change the quality of your living.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I do think people need to start somewhere. Sometimes books give us definitely an open into that. Also, I feel like you need to follow people who are doing and creating in ways that you want to do and create. For me, I follow a lot of bodybuilders right now. And I follow a lot of spiritual people, and I follow a lot of funny people because I like to laugh. So I think that book-wise, I actually do have an audio book. It's called The Art of Intimacy. And I have a master class that's The Art of Intimacy that would be very helpful for someone who's like, well, I kind of want to, do this on my own. I give you tips and steps. If you follow me, if you follow my Facebook and Instagram page, I'm always putting out information. But I follow the people who you are doing what you want, who you see expressing how you would like to express. And that's a good place to start. And the library is another great place to start. Go and start looking at things that you like, figuring it out.
Your
Like,
library card. That's right.
Yeah. What is it that you want to learn? What are you interested in? It doesn't even have to be so much the yin yang. You could be like, I want to know how to skateboard. I want to know like things that you've never given yourself a chance to figure out. Now you get to do it. You get to breathe and learn something different. Take advantage of technology. I think we give, technology such a bad rap. I love Netflix. I am a documentary. It's so many documentaries. Oh my God. Like I be in like little nerd heaven. Okay. Amazon Prime. Type in certain, your topic and find a documentary. YouTube. Oh, YouTube University is what we call it.
That's right.
Find channels that you like and follow those channels. Like you have to program yourself with information that's good for your soul. So, and then that helps you to find your tribe, and it helps you to find people that you're in alignment with in groups, and then, coaches and things like that. I feel like even a therapist or mentor, right? Because depending on where you at in life, you may need all three, or you may want one or the other.
That's
So you get to kind of figure that out. And I do believe in independent study. I'm definitely independent study. If it's something I want to learn, I'm definitely gonna learn it. So I do believe in independent study, and I do also believe that there comes a time when you need to have a master teacher to help you to process all that you have taken in. But I do believe people need to start somewhere. So even if you just start by following the coaches that's on here, go to our Facebook pages and follow. If you like what we've been talking about and how we've been expressing, go follow our pages and start seeing how we post it and different things in the spirit.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Qiana. I think, it's very important just to, as we are all trying to learn more about how to authentically express ourselves and authentically express our lives. It doesn't always have to be serious study. Sometimes it could just be tapping into what interests you. And that could be the universe's way of guiding you towards, that next level of understanding of yourself, just by being present enough and open enough to know, hey, this thing piques my interest. Skateboarding, I'm curious about that. Let me just pick up this book on skateboarding or watch this movie about, this kid who had a skateboard. It doesn't even have to be, nonfiction. It can be complete fiction that you immerse yourself into, but we can learn and grow about our own expression just by allowing ourselves opportunities to not always be so serious. Like Greg said, not take ourselves so seriously, but allow ourselves to play as well, and to find out more about how we want to express ourselves in that space. So we're getting down to the last 10 minutes here. Greg, final word, thought, quote, as we sign off.
I just want to, first of all, encourage those of you who have tuned in, tapped in tonight, to stick around for the rest of this week. And when you think you've heard it all, revisit what you've heard. And you're going to find there's nuggets that's layered inside of what you've heard. And it'll speak to you in a totally different way a week from now, a month from now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Qiana.
I so agree with that. I watched a Night Your Soul that I did at that time with my husband 5 years ago, and I was like, whoa, this was so good. it was actually really, really profound. So I do think that there are layers to it, and what you get today, because it's so exciting. Like, rewatch it, because you're gonna pick up something else, and it's long too, and so you can, you know what I'm saying, go back, and maybe if you miss something, you can go back and catch it again. So I think it's some great nuggets in here. I'm always happy to do this. I always feel very grateful that this platform is here for us to share with people. And I'm just happy to be here.
Thank you so much for sharing. Well, you can find me if you're interested in connecting with me. I am Inside Job by Sonja on Facebook and on Instagram. Most of my work on the social media platform is me posting my musings or thoughts or whatever inspiration comes up for me. And I can tell you now, I post about twice a month. So it's Inside Job by Sonja, and Sonja is spelled Sonji. So you'll be able to find me there. I also do offer tarot readings. Right now I do it through Etsy.com, but I'm about to, they've changed their taxing policies, so I'm about to close that Etsy store and do that through my Facebook and Instagram account. So you can always DM me if you're interested in a tarot reading. I'm happy to do that. Moot shared my resource for today. So, which I actually am reading Robert Johnson's E. I finished She, which was great. I struggled with the she in the Greek mythology. But I had a wonderful coach who pointed out to me that I probably was struggling for a reason. So that's my work that I need to do there. But this has been amazing. I'm gonna let Moo have the last word, but before I do that, I want to remind you guys that tomorrow, Monday, December 20th, we will be right back here on this same Zoom channel in this same Zoom room at 7 p.m. Central Time, diving into how to go with the flow. So today we talked about life expressed. We talked about different ways that your life can be expressed, and we really laid some great foundation on understanding yin energy and divine energy. And tomorrow we're going to go a little deeper, and we're going to talk about going with the flow. So make sure you have your dinner, have your water, get comfortable, wear some comfortable clothes, make sure the temperature is right in the room, because we're going to have a fabulous conversation tomorrow. Mook, final words.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for those of you who have been following us for 10 years and
Yes.
who have been on this platform for 10 years. And we miss you, Timothy, for 10 years. I think this may be the first time, maybe the second. But Greg, I think you were on our first series, and I just really, to be able to offer this at no cost to our community makes a difference to me. I don't live in the world where if I'm giving you something, you have to pay me something. Your time, your energy, and your attention is an exchange, right? Who has 2 hours to sit and listen to somebody, right? So I appreciate that people can get something out of this. And what I want to say is to the coaches, to Greg and Qiana and Dr. Sonji, for you to give up your time to make a difference. To me, Master Force coaches are our heroes. They are the difference makers. You guys are out there, you are taking care of people. And I see it in their lives. And Kiana's like, people's life changed, and I didn't even know that was going. It's like, it's the most amazing thing to watch and be a part of. So I don't take it lightly that you gave up your time, to do this. And I want you to know that I appreciate it. And one day I'm going to be able to just shower you with something that you really love, just to show you how much I love you for who you be in the world. So thank you. And for everybody else, you can find Master Force International Leadership Academy. We're out there, and we have a course starting April 9th. And if you want to be one of these coaches, just find us out there. All right. And we'll see you all tomorrow. All right. Good night. All right.
Good night, everyone.
Everybody.
You speakers stay around. We're going to debrief. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.